this look normal?
No.
You didn't even look.
Color-wise, we look a little cold.
Yeah? Feel a little warm.
All right, then we're fine.
Saying
Split the difference. So what is your story you wanted to tell me?
I don't want to tell it anymore.
Ah, it's a bitch.
We were talking about having a notebook, things written
Yes,
in it,
we were.
and for some reason that caused me to have a flashback.
Sure.
Because all I can remember are the most embarrassing things that ever happened to me.
All right, let's make sure this is crisp. Turned off the air
Did you
conditioner.
guess the button?
It's only an obvious button.
Well, I didn't see you reading. I was like, oh, you will know your ways as if born to them. Oh, it's the obvious button.
It was the
I
obvious
just want to
button.
make sure. So it was the first day of school, I think, in like a different school. Like, you know how you would switch buildings? You would start in like the elementary, but then all the same kids in you for every year would just keep switching. But this was, I think, third grade. So it's like first and second were in one building, and this was in like a different building or whatever. Different teacher. I was incredibly nervous. As nervous as I am now, imagine just incredible. Like,
So like slightly less nervous.
so like just tone it down a little, reel it in, find the lethal dose of nervousness and dial it back a little bit. Oh God. And she said something like, turn to page like 32 of like your notebook or something like that. I think she used the word notebook or whatever.
Okay.
And that's where like the vocab words are or something like that. So for whatever reason, to me, a notebook meant like a notebook. Like the notebook that
Like the thing it is.
well, like the thing that I brought that day.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, this is what? Oh God, I don't fucking...
This is unorthodox. These pages aren't numbered.
This is crazy. I don't know. So I counted 32 pages in, and I brought my notebook up. I was like, I don't know what else to do here. This is. Oh God, I'm already falling behind. There's stuff to do. I'm not doing it. They're all little. They're all like, this is normal. How do their notebooks have something in it? So I brought it up, and I'm like, they're not there. And she looked at me like, what the fuck? Like, some was this horrible moment where I'm like, oh God. She's like, no, you're like lesson. And she said the name of like the spelling book or whatever the fuck it was. And I was like, oh, okay, or whatever the fuck. But it destroyed me, her like reaction, and then me just thinking back later and being like, that was insane. She thinks I'm insane now. I'm an insane person. Fuck.
I remember a similar story of like, okay, on page 46 is your vocab words for the homework, and I went, ripped the page out and I threw it away, and I was like, my book doesn't have that page,
Oh my
thinking
God.
I don't know how to do the homework, and then she's like, did you just rip the page out of your book? And some other student who was not a friend of mine, so it helped play it up, goes, would he really tell you if he just ripped it out now?
That's ridiculous.
And she was like, you're right. All right, let's find him another notebook. And I was like, all right, so I got away with the first part, but still got fucked.
I thought you were gonna say he'd be like, mine doesn't have it either. Do that. In the whole
No,
class.
there were those cheap ass like
Like
coloring book notebooks where like the paper was made of like wet paper.
Like
you know what I mean? Like those like yellow papers.
Back. I actually do, where you would just go, and it would just
come
fall
right out. Yeah.
Because you have to buy the cheapest books possible.
Something
about that.
Another notebook story that just reminded me of it's Notebook Tales today. So we used to work
Tales
at
of the
Talk to the Town Video, a local video store that people thought was mom and pop. It was really owned by ShopRite.
We should do a
That's
video
the backstory.
about Talk of the Town Video.
We certainly can.
And link to it here. Just right. We don't have the fucking video.
So while at the work, we would enter a lot of these video contests because we would make videos, and you'd have to vote on said videos by registering an email. So I would sit there at this job, which was a job. You didn't really do anything there because there were no customers. So I would sit there all day registering emails so that I could cheat.
This is like 2006 or something, right? 2007.
Yeah.
So like a video store that was not Blockbuster in that time period. Imagine the people, like no
Yeah.
people, yeah. Literally.
So I sat there and like our other friends who we may mention and things were there, and they're all like name things, and it was just random like lines from songs and bullshit things and made up things and clashed two DVD boxes together and made a word, and I made all these email addresses with the same
things
password.
to make email accounts.
Exactly.
For. And it couldn't just be like, I'm cheating at this contest 1,
Yes.
I'm cheating at this contest
You
2.
wanted them to be like at least
Yes.
like you tried.
Right.
So I made hundreds and hundreds of these emails, and I would just put them in every line of this notebook, a blue notebook that had a little rubber band thing that was attached to it that could make it seal shut so it wouldn't open and bend the pages. It was
I think
quite
I've never
lovely.
seen this notebook, yeah.
Well, you'll never see it again because the crescendo or the peak of this story here is I went to drive to Ren's house and I had it on top of my car for whatever reason as I went to get my keys and I drove away and it's gone.
Nice.
Yeah, I only got to use those emails like once.
I got to blitz a contest once.
Yeah.
Did we win that contest?
We won one contest. No, I don't think we did.
won the one where we cheated.
No, we won the one we didn't cheat, and the one we cheated, they were like, I think you're cheating.
I didn't participate in the cheating specifically because I was the guy emailing back and forth with the contest guy, so I had to be like plausible deniability for some reason, even though that's not true. This goes back to the nervousness and the notebook that was obviously blank. It's the running theme.
But I had a great thing where I would always do these emails, these mass things from when I was at college. So I'd be in like a computer lab. So I'm like, I don't know how IP addresses work, but if there is, so I'll ask you this. So does each computer have its own IP, or does the room have an IP?
It depends. Sometimes the whole school will just appear as like one address to the outside
Okay, that's
world.
how I assumed it was going to be. So I was like, it's a computer lab at a college. So I don't know what it would show up as if they could even see it was a college. But if when quizzed, I would be like, I left the page open. I put a note there saying, please vote for me in the school library. So fuck you.
There might be other ways they can figure out the source of it, but the least sophisticated IP address only way, you definitely had a shot of it, of having like, hey, whatever.
Yeah.
And they could have potentially looked it up and seen that it was like blah 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 college, and you'd be like, well, there you go.
Yeah.
I'm a film student. I have friends. Are you penalizing me for having friends?
So sorry. Like, is this any different than blasting Facebook? No. I'm just blasting
We also
humans.
blasted Facebook.
Of course we blasted Facebook.
Oh man.
Yeah, those are rough days to be our friends, because we would all the time be saying like, vote for this, watch this, need views, need votes, email, bullshit, file, register. Oh, it's real easy. Fuck you. Oh, it's horrible.
Walking through like
Yeah.
people's my aunt says she'll do it, but she doesn't know what computers are. All right. like fucking helping people.
We would print out little
Crazy.
cards to hand to people that had the. You remember
No.
these? Oh yeah, at Taco Town, which
distanced
also
myself
had
from
a Xerox machine. We would make these little things where you could fold the paper in half. So it would be on each page. There'd be 4 of them. It would be full descriptions on how to vote, and like, okay,
did
go
not
to
know
this
about this
website,
either.
register here. This is what you do. Click our video. It's called this. Here you go. Here you go. And a couple of our like regular / friends that would rent things, we would give them these little pieces of paper.
Here you go. Exclusive invite to a club.
We.
We have a T-shirt left over from that. That's pretty cool.
Do I have one of those? Do I wear that? I don't know.
They're in the vault.
But yeah, those are the stories. So Talk of the Town video, a big part of our childhoods, young adulthoods.
Yeah, a video store I worked at, and I think you've officially replaced me, or like very nearly, or something like that. So when I graduated college, and like you hung out there before you worked there, while I worked there.
Yes.
And then after I was, like.
When you were gone, I worked there, and you hung out
and
there.
I just came out there and hung a bunch, so life didn't change very much.
No, it was great.
In a certain way.
Well, except for the store got cut in half.
Well, the store went downhill from like when I got there, the people who were older that worked there were like, "Oh, you missed like the golden era. Things used to be awesome here." And I'm like, "You don't work. You can just watch any movie you want."
What was the golden era?
How could there be anything better or something like that?
Did they ever elaborate?
There's
Because
no,
I would really like to
specifics.
know what
just
could have
like,
been better
oh, there's
about it.
rules now, and oh, you can't do this, and you can't, and else like dumb stuff. Nothing that I like remember.
That place was wonderful. There were
was not a
TVs
job.
that you could choose a DVD to watch. No one ever came in, so you could sit behind the counter with a laptop and watch literally anything you want. Most of the time, we just propped the door open so you could hear a phone ringing and would skate in the parking lot.
go outside,
it was
yes.
wonderful.
Yes, a picture like a little tiny strip mall that's not even like a real strip mall. A strip mall is a bunch of little buildings in a big parking lot.
For those
like,
unfamiliar.
Not right off the highway, not like a Walmart or something, just like tiny stores.
This was
so
6 tiny stores that no one ever shopped at, and
Right.
and like essentially a CVS.
Yeah, like a.
For those who don't know what a drug
what are
fair
those called?
is.
Drug stores, convenience stores, whatever.
It's like a CVS.
But like right in the middle of like town, like
Or a
main
Walgreens.
street, like houses around you, not like real businesses except on
Yeah.
the one side. Very, very chill, and it was not a job. You did not work, as he said. Like customers would come in and we'd all be talking with like our friends. So there'd be like 5 kids in like their late teens, early 20s just talking, and the customer would like come in and go, "Oh, I'm sorry," and like act like he was interrupting you, and
'Cause
you're
he
like,
was.
and you're like, "Wait, no, one of us, I think, who is it today? You need to go. He needs help with a movie," but they'd be like hesitant to like approach you, and you're like, "Oh God."
But it was
Because
this great
amazing.
like family of people working there where we were all friends, and like our friends that hung out there that didn't work there also kind of worked there. Where like if someone had a problem, Like they could walk you to the place, they could help you thing. Sometimes you go to the bathroom, they would ring people.
Like I had quit or like moved on like 3 years earlier, and I was in there one night, and someone that I knew from back in the day was all like, "Oh, do you have like this?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, it's not in action. It's probably in this. Here you go. It's in romance. I don't know, weird, right? Whatever." And she was like, "Okay, blah blah." I'm like, "Well, no, I can't ring you up. I don't work here anymore." And she was like, "What?" And she was like, and I'm like, "No, really. We have to wait for him to get back. I'm not really." And she was very confused. Like, "Why did you just do all
I've seen your face forever.
And I've known you for 10 years working here," and I'm like, it's like the Randall or whatever. Like, I don't watch movies. I'm not really supposed to be here. This whole fucking thing.
It was one of the best parts of life. I think if I could go back to like the
Kinda
beginnings
spoils
of
you,
doing
though, no?
nothing. Oh, it certainly spoils you. But like it's a great hand in hand of like you're spoiled by doing no work, but they also don't really pay you. So
True.
When I started there, I was making $5.15 an hour. That was minimum wage when I. Or no, I'm sorry. No, it was $5.15 was minimum wage when I started.
Really?
And I remember very shortly after that, like 3 months later, minimum wage went up to $6.15. Now, people I had been working with had been there for years, and they are now making $6.20 or something. And all of a sudden, it's like, tum thump, you now make a nickel more than me.
Right.
And they were super pissed because the raises were not very good at this company because it wasn't a real job. So, like, if you only get like a quarter, 35 cents a year, and then minimum wage jumps just under what you're making now, oh, the fiery death.
Yeah, we should underscore like 9 employees, 8 employees total at any like given time. Like,
Yes.
And like the schedule.
And when he says at any given time, he means in the whole company.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Period.
Yes.
2 or 3
Shifts
would
of 2
work
or
at a
3,
time.
yes. But like on the actual like schedule where you go on like at your job you see like what days you're working was literally one sheet
A
of
hand
photocopied
drawn,
paper.
like I drew a line,
Yes.
I drew a line, I drew a line, and then
Well-
like tic-tac-toe board of employee schedule with just X's saying can't work, school.
And like or like only after 3 or something like. But like as people left, working there, they would get taken off, and like the new people came in on the bottom. So it was also this like list of
Yes, a hierarchy.
It was the list of the seniority, and I worked there for long enough to go from the very bottom all the way to the top, right below the managers and like the fake managers of like the.
The
place.
store was so wonderful too because just to tell you how dead this place actually was. When you count out the register at the end of the night, if you made like $60, you were like, hell yeah, bitch. And I was like, what did you make today? Oh, more than that.
You're like, well, I work 2 to 10, so I make $5 an hour, so that's obviously like, well, fuck. Like, right,
And then
you're just like-
Sundays, you got time and a half because it was owned by ShopRite, and that's a ShopRite thing, or at least it was. And you could work from opening to closing on Sundays because for whatever reason, people like never wanted to work. Like,
Yeah.
Chris, one of my favorite things is Chris. You'll hear us reference him sometimes, or Toph. He would pay me to take his shifts. He would give me physical money, here's money, to earn money at a place I probably would have been hanging out anyway on
That
my
was
day
the whole
off.
thing, yeah.
It was it was wonderful.
Like I would always, and I had to work my way up to get it consistently, but I would work the 10 or 12-hour shift every Sunday for time and a half, and that was the bulk of my like whatever. And yeah, people were crazy. It would just be like.
That was wonderful.
But these were jobs where like you'd be like, I have to go walk my dogs, not me. Other
you'd
people.
leave and do it.
people would just leave for like hours and just be like, oh, I'm sorry, IHOP is pancake day, and it's like what? But nothing would ever. Literally nothing happened ever. It was one. Because
it was a job that nobody could do, and I mean like you could leave nobody there and they could do the job. So like that person left for 6 hours, didn't matter at all.
It's in fact a job that a Redbox could do because that's what
replaced us. But it was wonderful.
Yeah.
If only it might even be better if someone left because then you're like, all right, let's take that movie out. I didn't like that anyway. Put a new one in.
Right, you
and
can,
now when they
like-
get back, that shit's already started. You can't stop it. It started already.
You can change the radio station now. You're like, I'm the man. It's the thermostat. This is all the way I like it because it's literally just me alone in a room full of movies. For
Something
like,
that
whatever.
no job ever did, but this one did, was, just eat any of the food you want that they sell.
Oh, goddamn.
You could eat any of the food, you could have any of the drinks, you could just eat them. And like, there was no record keeping of anything, apparently. You would just, they'll be like, yeah, I had 6 Reese's peanut butter cups and all the red drink.
Well, every now and then there'd be a drink, and they would put a sign like, "No, you really have to," because like a rock star or something
Yeah,
special
yeah.
would come in. They'd be like, "No, you really have to pay for that one," or something like that. But yeah, you would
Which
take
meant just
sodas.
take one today.
Which meant don't make it obvious. Oh, we're getting into like skeezy territory, but yeah, like your friends would come in and just be like, oh, "I can take a lemonade," and you would look and see if there was a lot of lemonade, and you'd be like, "Yes, that's fine."
My favorite
Like,
was
whatever.
like Ren had a justification about it, so she'd be like, "Gonzo, put these movies back." So he'd
Oh.
get like a hand of like 10 movies that have to go back on the shelf.
I never
and
saw
now he's an
that.
employee.
No, she
and he'd get a drink.
she like deputized him.
Yeah.
I gave him the clearance. Now go ahead. And you're like, what the fuck?
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, but people like helping out, even doing like staying after you locked the door to help put the movies out, the movies that aren't technically released yet, where it's
Yeah.
like illegal to like it's crazy, stupid. Ugh.
Oh, it was wonderful. My favorite was one time. So Larry and Sarah, he was the guy that owned this. He owns all the
Should
shop
we say
rights.
like right? So
I've
this-
already said his name. He
Well,
owns like
no,
all
no,
the
no.
shop rights
This-
in that area.
This used to be a ShopRite video, and because this guy who owned all the ShopRites and also owned that kind of wanted a place to bop in and grab a box set as a gift, or he wanted a place for like some of his family
He lived in
members
this
to work.
town.
Yeah, he wanted a place for some family, an extended family to be able to stick him there. Like, here's a job for the summer, all that stuff. He wanted this as like a thing, so he just kept it open, even though, as we've pointed out,
It had
several
no
times,
business being open.
was not profitable.
It probably
in
would have
any
stayed
way.
open if his friend didn't want the location for another business.
something else, yeah.
Yeah, but I forgot where I was going with this.
Larry and Sarah.
Oh, he comes in. So Larry comes in.
He always
and,
smelled like French roast and money, by the way.
Yes. So I had worked there for a while, but I may have seen him, but never knew who he was or that he owned the place.
Right.
And I was
Kind of unassuming, honestly. if
Yeah,
you look
yeah.
at him. Not a big guy.
I was
not a
there
loud
with
guy.
Chris, and he comes in. There's like 20 of our friends in there,
Uh-huh.
and like they're all holding drinks, and they have DVDs in their hands, and like he comes in, he goes like, "What's going on here?" And I'm like, what? What do you mean? Like, or
who the
whatever
fuck are
our friend
you?
said, yeah. And he's
the
like,
fuck-
"I own this place," and I'm like, "Hello," and then he's like, so our friends just start to leave, and he's like, "Did they pay for all those things? I want to see receipts." And Chris just like hits like and like prints out whatever the last thing was. He goes, "Yeah, here you go," and he goes, "All right." It was like a menu to a Chinese restaurant. He's like, "All right."
He's like, well, he had the balls to show me something. It must be real. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh, it was
Ma'am, we're
wonderful.
authorized. Just I have to go first. I'm American. I never heard about that. That's crazy. I don't think we ever had anything close to that. I'm trying to think. Like, it was so low key and so boring or whatever. I was late like every day for my shift for like.
Which you
7
had to punch
years.
in with like a card.
Yes. No, and like I was, and I just kept getting later and later, and they would say something, and it would knock me back down to only 10 minutes late. I can't even explain it. I just
Well, you have like an inability to wake up.
yeah, but and I can't bear to like waste any time or something like that. And if you punched in like 6 minutes after the hour, that would round to the certain way or whatever like that. So I had this thing of like, well, better to be over. I don't want to get there at 4:58 and like waste time out of my life if you start at 5 or something like that. I don't know. It was a pathology that grew. But that was like the only thing that I did wrong. Everything else I did right.
There wasn't much to do though, so
Right,
like
so, like,
that might have been the
so-
only thing you could do wrong.
No, so like anything that you did was always like, no, we have to go that extra mile. The line must be drawn here. We must deliver quality service. We must peel off the old sticker before putting the new sticker on.
Oh,
because
yeah.
because there's already 10 stickers, and they're and like it's just gonna fall off like a pat of butter, and just fucking we're not gonna know who rented this movie. So fucking just peel it off. You're sitting here for 12 hours. Just peel off one sticker an hour. I hate you so
You'd
much,
have
you
to put
dirtbag.
these silver stickers on the center of the DVD, and my favorite was John would put them on like so off center
Yes.
that they'd be in your DVD drive. It's like you just hear the clipping of the sticker.
Yes, like a little copyright ring like around the hole, which something has to click into that, and you can't have part of a sticker
Yeah.
like on it. It's fucking obvious.
Oh, video stores. They were wonderful.
So like it closed down. We like bought a bunch of. Did you buy a bunch of shit or take a bunch of
Hundreds,
shit?
hundreds
Just-
of DVDs.
I'm still finding bags and like decaying DVD case and like the plastic is getting old and everything is like whatever. I'm still finding it everywhere.
I
and
I
sorting through
counted
everything.
once, and the number escapes me now with what was like legitimate versus like copies of movies and whatever. I think I have like 3,000 DVDs that are like legitimately in
Those
their
boxes,
boxes.
yeah.
Because I have like 4 shelves that are gigantic.
Yeah.
And shelf is the wrong word. Bookcase is the right word?
Yes, they are bookcases from
Yeah.
IKEA or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
That are like 7 shelves each. They're taller than me.
And you even, so like, I'm not a big box dude and whatever the fuck, but you even have like, you know, Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 1, but like in
All
the
of
thing
them.
from the, yeah, or whatever. So like, yeah, I just, I've actually gone through a bunch and gotten rid of the boxes and all that stuff. But you would see his shelves and be like, what, you work at a fucking video store? And you're like, yes, I did, or something like that.
I do-
It's the
I like-
only explanation. It's crazy.
I feel like I have enough to rent.
Yeah, you could be a video store now,
Yeah.
you could honestly. But only for movies in that exact time period. When I was
Yes.
sorting through mine, you find a bunch of hilarious movies because you could buy them for like $1 once.
They were $1.48 or something.
Once they were gonna, so like you would think, oh, you guys must just like steal everything. It's like for some reason we didn't, because they made it cheap enough that it was not
There
worth.
was no
It
reason-
was not worth trying to steal and potentially get fucked or whatever. So yeah, it was like $1.49, and like literally once because they would order like 27 copies of like Ali with Will Smith, and then someone would just rent one and bring it back and rent it and bring it back. So you'd have 26 untouched new copies, and they would take 25 of them and say, we gotta ship these back to the company, but if you guys want them, it would employ, and we would you could just buy them for a dollar. So for me, but it's like 2003 to 2000 whatever. I have 1 million DVDs, but that's a bunch of like. What's that Rob Schneider?
garbage.
What's that Rob Schneider?
Animal?
Yes, but the one where he's the hot chick.
Hot chick.
I found the hot. So you have all these
Deuce
movies
Bigelow.
where you're like, why do I own so many? It goes so deep from this one swath of time.
I
including
bought
all
almost
the
every
shit.
movie
Why
that
would you
did
not for
because it was like, it's so
$1.50?
cheap. Why would I rent it?
Exactly, and for the fucking commentary and all that shit, I used to love that shit.
The weirdest thing was we
we
had
did
to
like
pay to
movies.
rent things, though. That was
Yeah.
so weird.
That too was just like, well, if we establish a policy where it's kind of free, it will just go crazy. So we'll have to rein it in to
I
a certain
guess.
amount of stuff. But yeah, it was. You know.
But we were encouraged to watch everything. Like I guess we could
Yes.
also watch 90% of it at the store.
Anything not rated R or like
Yeah.
crazy, even some rated R or whatever. Put
We
it
watched a
on
lot
there.
of stuff in there.
But it was weird because like at the time, like looking back, time like flattens out, it like compresses. So you're like, well, no, like Netflix has been a thing, and video stores have died off, and it just seems like it happened really quick or something like that. But I was new at the store when like the DVDs were not even in the separate sections by genre. There was
Yeah.
there was just a section called DVDs.
DVD, yeah.
And it was all VHS. So like Batman, Batman and Robin or something like that was right there with like other like Gladiator and like DVDs from like a certain whatever back in the day.
Yeah.
We're all together because there were only so many, and everyone's asking questions. Well, I don't know. How
And when
this
we
works and
stopped
all
doing
that stuff.
VHSs, that was a
Exactly.
big deal.
Yeah, and you were working there for the end of the VHS.
Yeah.
Because for me, there was still this like mixture for a while. Where it was this crazy
Having
shit.
the like, and it was just we were instructed just to throw them away. And I remember I wanted to take a lot of them, and they're like, "Nope, we gotta throw them away." And I'm like, "I don't understand the logic here, but all right." And then
Did anyone find a way around that?
so
Wink,
it
wink.
went like
Something like
this.
that?
It was like, okay, we threw away sci-fi, horror, action, and then they're like, you know what? I guess we could let you keep things. I'm like, it's only fucking drama left. I don't want fucking drama.
Great. Well, in drama, possibly. Well, who knows? But
I took some.
I would have
granted,
said the least likely because, like, sci-fi, comedy, they're gonna have those movies where it's like I don't even know if they're on DVD.
Yeah.
Some crazy ass shit. Horror, especially, is gonna have some weird shit where like maybe it's on DVD but not that cut, not that version. Some weird stuff happening
Yeah.
like that. There were like relics. There was like a thing.
we had a
There was
decent
there was some
selection.
shit
When
happening.
the VHS world much better than our DVD selection, I think.
Throughout, even.
Because we didn't. It's not like you backlogged
Yeah.
and everything you had on VHS you now have on DVD. You were just getting the new shit.
Right, so if that store was open maybe like 30 years total or something,
Yeah.
longer or whatever the fuck, so you had VHS's, some random rare weird copy just still living there for like so long.
And,
but yeah, DVDs was just
Chris
from a
was like
certain-
the manager, so we had the manager Chris was different than the Chris I referenced earlier. He had a great eclectic taste too, so he'd be ordering like cool
Oh, yeah.
random shit that most people don't even want, but we all watched.
Yeah.
And that was and like if you came
Hello
in, you were
anime
like,
section.
yeah, we had a good
Active
anime
video
section.
game
There was a lot of
section,
stuff in
yeah.
that. We had a superhero section.
That was after my time. That was the beginning of the ramp up of our super world and all that stuff.
My favorite was our Christmas section, though, because Christmas was like
the seasonal.
anything that was remotely related to Christmas was in the Christmas section.
Yep.
So like Die Hard, that's a Christmas movie in Christmas.
Happens at Christmas.
It's
Gremlins,
like
Christmas.
of course.
Is that even Christmas, or is she just telling?
One of them is Christmas.
No, I think
the first one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought she just talked about. Oh no, she's telling the story of her dead father because this is Christmas and it reminds her of that.
Yes.
Okay. I was gonna say maybe she just told a story about Christmas and it's not really happening at Christmas.
But like
That
this
would
is
be
not a
crazy.
true thing. But like for a bad example, it'd be like The Flash. That's in Christmas. He's wearing red. Like it
Oh
was
yeah,
like
because it was a stretch. Because what did they take? One of like the pillar shelves or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So they would take like a thing and say it's a seasonal section. Wasn't there like a
there was
Halloween?
Thanksgiving. There was Halloween. There
So
was
to give
bullshit.
to give you something to do, you'd make these sections. But really, all that does is on the off chance during this part of the year where like someone may actually want to rent something or something like that, it may not be where you expect it to be. It'll be somewhere
Yes.
else. And then like the wrong person puts it back or doesn't know or some shit like that. It was great. It's a crazy fucking thing.
The best part was we all had our own personal section too, so they'd be like Zim's picks, Lee's picks, and like you'd like all right, let me define you based on what's in your picks, and you'd maybe look through it, and you'd have
Well-
like Pito who'd like I want to be deep, so I'll pick just things that have like really twists and.
When somebody would be like, "Oh, like, do you have?" I'm trying to think of like, do you have Fear with Mark Wahlberg? I can't find it.
Do I?
I've spent an hour looking for it, and I'd be like, "That's in my personal section, right this way, man." And
Let
like,
me pound my chest as I get there.
and like, and you're like, "Well, I have to get through a fleshy wall, but I'll get there." And you go to like it was like a pillar. It said Cinematic Triumphs up top. It had all of our names in different like weird little art styles and all
Yeah,
that.
personally drawn fonts.
Shit. Yeah. And then like it'd be like so like when Sean left, we shouldn't even say names, but like he had Army of Darkness, and I was like, so like when someone would leave, vultures would descend on their
When you
shelf.
left, I got Army of Darkness.
That's why I'm saying that because I didn't remember, but I was sure that it would have happened because vultures would descend on the shelf. Ooh, you had this. Ooh, you had that. Ooh, 16 candles. Ooh, whatever the fuck. That wasn't in my shelf. I was playing someone else when I said that.
Sure you were.
But no, yeah.
He loved Hughes.
I hate. That's a whole other topic. I don't hate it, but I don't know.
You know.
I can't relate to American children coming of age in that world because I didn't actually live in America
Well,
in that world.
my coming of age are like Empire Records, Can't Hardly Wait, like
Right.
like The Perfect Score, like those are ones that I'm
Right.
like, yeah. In fact, those may all have been in my picks. Varsity Blues, like I very much was like I liked niche horror was in my picks. Some like rando superhero type things like Defendor with Woody Harrelson. You seen that one?
No.
Oh, it's great. Go to my picks, you'll see it.
Go to my shelf.
I think I also own now everything that was in my picks. Like,
gonna say, you
I don't
should-
mean like I probably owned those movies anyway, but I bought my version, so like
exact
it
ones
says my name on
That
the
has
front.
the sticker, yeah. No, I can't even like remember all my picks. That's a weird thing. But nothing like that. Just like shit like Heat, Glengarry Glen Ross.
So you had some, like,
12 Angry Men.
Approachable ones for like
Yes.
adult. I had
But
like
nothing
Havoc,
like,
13, Hard Candy,
Yeah, okay.
like ones where I was like, these are movie ass movies. Like
That was my goal too, was because it was called Cinematic Triumph. I had Equilibrium and stuff like that. Movies where
then
like
Pito had Equilibrium.
and that made me question whether or not it was a bad movie.
have you ever had this happen where you like something a lot, but
All the
because
time.
someone else likes it, you're like, it might not be good anymore.
No, you like defend a band and people are like, nah, and you're like, what the fuck? I thought everyone liked them. What the fuck? And then someone chimes in like, no, they're great. And I'm like, yeah, no, wait, you're a fucking herb. You suck. You have horrible taste. Maybe and it makes you question your whole life.
I've questioned myself.
Oh, what do you mean?
So like, my girlfriend Babs, she likes terrible documentary movies and things. She thinks they're good, but I was sat
no,
there one day.
don't
I
watch
was
this.
like, oh my god, your taste in things is so bad. I go, oh my god, am I a horrible person?
What do you mean?
Well, if you like horrible crap and you like me, does that mean I'm
Oh,
horrible crap?
God. It's like everything you like is bad. And she's like snuggles up to you like, oh my God.
Yeah.
No!
You ever see
That's
that video
pretty
of the
good.
raccoon fighting a dog on a guy's front porch, and it's like a security camera,
don't
and like the
believe so.
dog is fighting the raccoon, and the guy rushes into frame, and he grabs the raccoon like by its back legs and like spins it once, and it flips out of the frame.
No.
I just picture doing that to her.
That's rude.
Oh, it's attacking his dog,
Okay.
and the way he's just, whoof, and it's like out of the frame.
I put up a whole thread of people getting wrecked in the
I know, I loved
you
it.
Saw that?
I loved it.
There's people fighting and falling and all that shit. I'm not usually into that, but I know you're a big fan.
I love when
So I was
someone
like,
gets
there we
hurt.
go.
Sometimes GIFs are better because there's no sound. You're like, oh, it better hurt a lot. Like,
Oh yeah, and with like a low quality animated GIF, you're like it's like harder to tell if it's fake or if it was
Yeah.
staged. It isn't like a video where you go, oh well, wait a minute, why are they filming this? It just looks like grainy.
there's one where the guy goes to walk in an elevator and the elevator shaft is like a little off center, so like he hits his knees and like falls in, and then like all of a sudden the elevator starts to drop and he's gonna get severed in half, and he scrambles out, and I'm like, holy shit.
But he gets out for that one.
He does get out.
Some of them end up going like a bad way, and
Some of them are dead.
I watch them like you're clenching, you're waiting for something horrible to happen, and then
That was like
hopefully
all
it
those
doesn't.
cars hitting those people that are protesting. I was like, holy
my
shit,
God.
those were
That's how the whole thing started. We started looking up these protests that blocked the highway.
roads in general. I don't think it was
well,
just the highway, but
right,
the
right,
highway
right.
definitely got the most aggressive.
It's
no,
target
no,
that or
no,
something.
not necessarily. That one
That
where the guy
one
got
video,
pinned.
I don't know.
That was ooh,
I guess we'll have to link to that or try to, but
no link in the description.
there was
Down below.
because of things like Black Lives Matter and protests and the election cycles ramping up, you're seeing more and more protests. I heard about one in Berkeley, and there was one in D.C., I think, something like that.
Sure.
It raises all those questions because we're like, how can it be legal to block the highway? Is it illegal to run people over? I don't think so. It's legal, but it's not legal to block the highway. We had this whole discussion, so we ended up Googling like protesters that block the highway, and it turns out when you Google that, all you find are people getting run over by cars.
Horribly.
Like literally, because you're filming the protest, like rah rah, fight the power, and then a car
And then sis, boom, bam.
gets fed up, and just horrible shots of like going over people's like doo-doo,
But like then they're like half
Like,
over some
oh.
people, and like the car's kind of like wheels spinning. He's like, ah.
It's like from The Walking Dead, because they stop a little, like, wait, what was that? Oh no, I'm running someone over. I actually keep going, and they go, and you're like, just go, fuck. And also, if you're in one of those, just get out of the way.
Some protesters though were diving like under cars. It looked like they were laying down in front of cars.
Yes.
But like when you're doing that, when you're laying down, stop a car. You have to realize you're now dead. But
Well,
B,
yeah.
like the guy in the truck can't even see you. So unless he knows you laid down, he doesn't even know he's running you over. And if you're gonna lie under a car, don't make it so your knees are lined up with the wheels, because everyone does that, and it's horrible.
They don't have a lot of experience laying down in front of cars, I feel like. But yeah, that person's adrenaline is pumping. He's making this decision to make a break for it. It's not a good time to kind of sneak under his car.
Yeah.
But even under the best of circumstances, it's not like you're like, oh, if we, because that's what you'd see. A car would start pushing forward on the line, and the other protesters would like break ranks and go behind that guy. But like, you're not actually stopping the car. You're just
Not
hoping.
at all.
You're just hoping that the combined like social pressure to not run you over will stop the car. It's not really stopping
Those
the car.
hopes were quashed.
It's like trying to just use your mind to like stop the car and just hope that now will be the moment your mutant powers manifest. There's nothing really stopping that car. You should get out of the way of the car.
If you're the kind of guy that if I went to throw you my keys, you would step to the side,
Ooh.
you should not even be protesting, because you don't have the wherewithal, the physical ability to understand when you're gonna die.
Yeah, because you would think, because some of these like college students or whatever, you would think like, well, you're fit, you like you're gonna lay on his hood, but you're gonna know, okay, fuck, this is happening, and you're gonna get off. But some of these people, yes, were not prepared to handle the situation.
And no one really does that. No one like really laid if he's pushing up to you, they would just stay standing and just get knocked over. Lay across the hood. That way, if he guns it, you can grab on and not be sucked under.
At different points, I saw one where they were kind of like folding onto the car like a little more, especially though after he'd killed someone. They were like
once the first
angry
guy
at
dies,
them or whatever. Yes.
changes the whole pacing.
I hope I'm never involved on either side of that situation. I do not know how I would act. That's fucking crazy. 'Cause
I
Jesus
don't
Christ.
protest anything.
No.
I may mutter under my breath like, "Oh, that sucks," but
We say that shouldn't be that way. Oh well, and then you go.
well, it's the same reason I don't vote.
I guess we're like
I don't
privileged
really
or whatever.
complain, because
Right.
if I cared that much, I would be voting for this. I'd be like, yep, can't deal with that. But right now, I'm like, all right, so what am I voting for? Nothing. What am I like? What is
understand,
this
yeah.
protest doing? Nothing. Could it hurt me? Yes.
Effectively nothing. Yeah, I know people. If anyone ever does watch this, they're going to be like attacking us for this. But I want to go on record as saying I don't vote either, even though I'm a completely different person than he is, and probably
We
have,
don't vote
like,
for completely different reasons, I
opposite reasons
imagine.
or whatever the fuck.
I don't
But
vote
yeah.
because an uninformed voter is more dangerous than somebody
Fuck, that's
voting.
the same reason as me. No, I stopped. I used to be super into politics, but after being super into it for like over 4 years and realizing that it doesn't actually do anything, and I know everyone says that, but I don't think a lot of them try it first and then decide. I think they just decide. I imagine it wouldn't do anything. I actually tried being really involved and informed and like convincing people and having like debates at that video store. It comes full circle. At the video store, we had nothing else to do. We'd have a lot of like talks about that, and that was during my political time because I hadn't like gotten a real job yet or whatever. So. Having lived through all that, I kind of came to the conclusion that not only is this not really doing anything, it's actually hurting me like mentally, or like negatively impacts my mental health to be that like involved day to day, all these stories and quotes and things and fucking laws that get passed and shit. It's actually crazy. So I took a step back. I've been much happier. It's been much better. But as a result, yeah, what am I going to vote for? I don't know. I heard some shit on Twitter. Is that real? Was that a scam? Was that like taken out of context? I don't know. Probably just better to, since it doesn't matter anyway, just not vote.
The whole like one vote matters, every vote matters, and that I got to a point where I was like, I'm not sure any of the votes matter, because it seems like sometimes a vote goes completely one way, but the other guy still wins because there's some bullshit at hand that I don't understand, and since I don't understand that, I don't care that much, and I'm getting fucked left or right. It doesn't matter which way it goes. Yeah. I just do my thing, keep my head down, and fucking roll with it.
I understand all those things that you're talking about, but have still concluded that, like, because, like, without getting too deep into all that stuff, like, we live in New Jersey. That state, I believe, has voted for one political party for the last, I don't know how many years, like, since the parties flipped or something. It's
since there was a donkey and an elephant, there has always been bullshit in New Jersey.
Since the votes had to be carried via stagecoach to Virginia, I think we voted for the same like political side, if not the same party. But even if that wasn't true, even if there was a real chance of like every year it going like a different way, I don't know that it would matter a tremendous amount. Having spent now eight years of my woke adult life under one party and nearly eight under the other, I have concluded it is going to be the same, at least for me. And I know that might be self-centered, but at a certain point, again, mental health wise, what the fuck am I going to do? I'm going to run for president is what I'm going to do.
When I was younger, I had delusions that I was like, oh, I'll run for president. And this was, I was probably like really stupid young, like 13 or whatever.
You thought like, well, when they come around to ask who wants to run this year, I'll just say I'll do it.
No. Like, I knew you had to be like 34 or something to run, or 32 or whatever the fuck the age was. Yeah. At the time they were teaching that and I remembered it, but now I'm an adult and I eat too much sugar, so I forget everything. But at the time, I remember my landmark, like, this is what I will run on. My slogan will be like, you don't have to go to school.
Okay. Free money and blowjobs.
No. It was you don't have to go to school, and it was gonna be like the premise was you just don't go to school. We train you directly for a job.
Sure.
And that's what it is. It's like okay, so schooling is no longer mandatory. You solely have the option to go to school, but you are going to be just trained for a job, and like this is your job.
Yeah.
Could you pick? Probably not, because most people are dumb, and we don't need you picking your job. But that was my. I'm going to run on this platform.
Well, I have two responses to that.
Sure.
One is quick and funny. I think Hitler was a fan of that, or someone like that. Communists or fascists were like,
I think fascists.
We should test all the children and find their aptitudes and put them into the programs. And that was their like plan of like, why are we teaching you about the ocean?
It makes sense.
But it does make sense.
It makes sense.
Like a lot of things that people that are horrible advocates, I think part of that kind of ruined it or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Because that's the same line of thinking that's like, well, you're allergic to everything and you're a big puffy alcoholic. You shouldn't have any kids. Have like the really athletic, awesome, smart guy have all the and you just like optimize.
That makes sense too, but I'm not about forcing that one. So like, and no,
of course.
My thing with this was mainly because we have such a high likelihood of people going to college and not going to doing anything involving.
Yeah.
So why do we even do that? That's a waste of time. They could be helping the world.
Well, that's my.
And then there's people that are good at other shit. Yes. And you're like, okay, you're good at nothing. We need people to dig ditches though, so go dig a ditch. And now you're not a leech on our society with fucking bullshit.
Well, that's the second response, is like as much as like an education is valuable and as much as I am like an education enthusiast who went to college, got like a Bachelor of Science, and I do something in my field and all that stuff, I don't think everybody does that. And like
I would wager almost nobody. I think like 6%.
And these days it's gotten much worse, and the economy is so bad that I feel like everything has caught up with it to the point where now it looks even sillier than it used to. Like forever, there's been a very strong argument that if you take those 4 years plus of debt and change them to 4 years of work experience, raises, like health insurance, all that stuff, that when you get to like 50-something years old, it kind of is like, whatever, depending on your field and like what you're willing to do and go through and all that stuff. There's a dude who's where I work who I think literally started in like not in the cafeteria but like the maintenance crew or something like that,
Okay.
and somehow wormed his way into. And we have like a very strict divide of like there's people who like clean up the trash. It's like a big office building or whatever the fuck. And then there's like programmers and like technical people and all that stuff. And this guy somehow made like it makes no sense because that whole thing of like
Because they're probably different companies.
I know.
Because I imagine you don't actually
yeah.
employ the maintenance people.
Right,
That's probably the building.
It's like a subcontract. It's like layers of stuff. But the story that I heard was he got to know some people in that position, and he had some sort of credentials and some ambition, and somehow, but like that thing from TV of like I'm going to work in the mailroom and I'm going to slowly become the CEO. That is not real, but somehow he did that in effect, or like the modern version of that or whatever. But even though I'm an education enthusiast, blah 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 blah, a famous nerd wrote this article about how apprenticeships have ended, basically, and it's like really hurt like the human race or whatever the fuck. And that's basically what you're talking about.
That's kind of exactly what I'm saying. And like I'm not I have very controversial stances on a lot of things. I don't believe in a lot of like the welfare programs, EBT cards, bullshit.
Sure.
But I'm not for killing people and letting them die. I don't think EBT cards make sense because why should you get something for nothing and get to choose what you're getting? You shouldn't. I'm all for feeding people.
For context, he works at a place where people come in with EBT cards
all the time
and buy stupid things.
Like, you are given this food because you can't afford to feed
yes.
yourself and your children. And you're buying like a $38 like set of cheese or something. And I'm like, all right.
Fancy cheese, right?
I'm like,
yes.
this is ridiculous.
Right.
Or people that buy shit that's not covered, like alcohol or whatever, and they go, all right, so here's my EBT card. Okay, that took off this part. Okay, here's cash for the rest. Because they have a job that probably pays cash.
Or they're getting money some way or whatever the fuck, yes.
So my thing would be like, yes, EBT cards, all right, deleted. They're gone.
Right, but you're not...
You can come and get cheese and bread and like...
Right.
Like this week is cheese and bread because that's what the farmers gave us or whatever. Next week is corn gruel and bullshit or whatever. And I'm not saying it would be this horrible thing, but it would be the minimum amount of food you need to live to keep yourself alive. And I don't believe in giving people money either. Give them jobs. There's plenty of things you could do. The government has a lot of facilities and they're paying other companies to mow the lawn. That's you now. You mow the lawn.
Right,
this is your paycheck. You're working for it. And you'd be like, oh, but I don't even raise my kids. All right. Government fucking agencies will now have little spots you could drop your kids off for cheap, affordable daycare. It just seems like the most no-brainer thing.
No, and
when we were in the fucking Depression, we built schools and bridges and fucking Hoover dams and bullshit.
Right.
Why don't we do that now?
So we need to give people
Trump
jobs,
wants a giant wall. Fucking throw some people on that.
Build the wall. Well, he wants Mexicans to build that wall, I think. But
I'm sure there's some unemployed Mexicans that can.
But again, for anyone, so you are not a person, like you're not watching Fox News, hearing people say shit like this and saying, I believe the same thing.
I don't think I've ever watched Fox News.
This is like your actual. Well, I'm just saying, like a lot of people that say I think anything these days, they're just
regurgitating shit they've heard.
They're just hearing shit, and then other people hear inside of the shit that like they're saying, the shit that they've heard their guys regurgitate against, and then they come at you with the same thing. I've had this happen like a bunch of times where I think of like a catchphrase or like some way of saying something, and people go, aha, that's this, and I go, what do you mean? What are you talking about? And they're like, that's on like T-shirts, and I'm like, oh, well, I'm very clever apparently, but I didn't know that was a thing, and I came up with it myself, and like here are my reasons, but they're not, you don't want to listen to that or whatever.
No, yeah, I'm not sure if anyone else has the same viewpoints as me, but if they do, I agree with them.
You are literally in the trenches. You have formulated your opinion over like a lifetime of like seeing and like understanding people, how they work, and these systems, and how they are interacting
100%.
As a place that sells
food. If you're
food,
not giving people money,
yes.
if you're not giving them money and options, they're more likely to want to work and to get those things they want. Because life is about choice. And when you take choices away from people, people go, well, how can I get my choices back? And that's when they go to school, that's when they work, that's when they do shit. And if you give people money, they have the choice, the option to use that money to buy bullshit and drugs. I also firmly believe anybody who's collecting anything from the government, if I'm taking my taxes and giving you anything, you should be drug tested constantly.
For some reason, that's a controversial opinion.
Because
and I'm not sure why.
Because there's more people on drugs.
People like drugs, I know that. But there's people who are claiming that there's a reason besides liking drugs that like is dehumanizing or like a bad or something like that.
I will agree it is dehumanizing, and I'm fine with it. The whole thing is if you like what is being a human? Well, you gotta have a roof over your head. You gotta have food. All that bullshit. Things that you have to work for, you motherfucker. And if you're not gonna work for them, I get to do whatever the fuck I want to you. The same reason I believe if you're a lifer in jail, I should be able to do testing on you.
I think we're getting too far off the thing, but dehumanizing might be the wrong word or whatever. Because it's just that
your human rights.
It makes people feel bad.
But that's the problem too. We're in a society where you can't feel bad,
right? Oh, this sucks. I have to go report to the facility and do this, and I can't just go do what I want and have fun or whatever the fuck.
Yes.
Right?
Responsibilities, rights, things you have to earn. You're
Right.
not given these privileges. You have to earn these privileges. Why can I do anything I want in my house? Because it's my house. I bought it. Why can I do anything with my money? Because I fucking work for it. It's my money. Why do anything? Any example you can say of that. So why can't you use drugs? Because you're using my money. I can dictate what you do with my money.
You're not allowed to buy drugs. If I can't afford drugs because I have to pay taxes and do all this other stuff.
Well, yes. But one of the most annoying things is when you
afford.
see somebody on an EBT card eating fancy, nice lunches better than the lunch I can provide for myself. And that's irritating me.
Because
I'm
you're
I'm buying that lunch.
Because you're making a mortgage payment. And
Yes.
you're taking care of shit. You're getting a new car when it breaks. You're doing all this stuff.
Exactly.
No, and there's so Again, I have a corporate job, so I listen to people complain about how the subsidized cafeteria that is in the building does not provide high enough quality food or something. Which
I would tell them to go fuck themselves. There should be no cafeteria. Buy your own food.
Well, I was just like, this is crazy that you would complain about this awesome thing that the company's providing us.
Literally beggars, being choosers.
Whatever. But, so I have no real life experience in this field whatsoever, but what I do know is that I forget all the details, but there was a time, have you heard of the 99 weeks unemployment thing or whatever the fuck it's called?
I'm familiar with...
I think so,
and I hate it.
Well, so the limit I think was 100 weeks, and then they changed it, or long story short, let's just say, for example, I think this was not in America, but I know similar things have happened. Okay, you can get unemployment for 5 years, right? So at about 4 years, 8 months, everyone suddenly starts getting a job.
I wonder why.
And then stuff happened, shit changed, and they changed it to 3 years. And everyone said this is going to be horrible. Look at the data; it takes longer than 3 years to get a job. And predictably speaking, at now 2
years,
2 years, 9 months, whatever, everyone suddenly starts getting. So if you the documentary or YouTube video took both graphs and took the 3-year one and stretched it and literally superimposed them, and it's the exact same. People just literally instinctively go, "Ah, fuck, this is going to run out. I better fucking get any. I'll just take any," and they fucking get a job when it's going to run out. So the argument that
and the only thing I understand paying into unemployment, but it doesn't seem like the math ever adds up because the amount of time you're on unemployment is never equal to how much you could have possibly paid in. Unemployment should be, if you want to make this a thing, which I don't even think it should be a thing, it would be, okay, we're going to take X% of your check each week as a tax. That goes into a bank account. That is your bank account, but you can't touch it until you're unemployed.
Right,
if you're never unemployed, it'll come at you during your Social Security.
Yeah.
That's the only way it makes sense, because if it's, I contributed, I worked, I got my McDonald's job, I probably put at least $150 in that thing, and now you're unemployed for 5 years? Nowhere did you pay for that.
Having never done unemployment, I don't know how it works. We've known people that have done it,
We know a couple people,
I don't know, what I assume it's is similar to insurance, where everyone pays, but not everyone gets sick.
Yes, it is exactly that way.
There's enough money, and that's the idea, is you're paying in case you need it, and everyone pays, and whoever needs it. But what I don't know, because I know that the amount you get is different, right? Based on things?
I believe it is 60% of what you made at your previous job.
Okay. So it's based on something personalized for you at the very least, but I'm assuming...
Or an average of your last 3 paychecks or something.
Right, so just suddenly...
So if you know you're going out and you go out hard with some unemployment, overtime, you could clean up.
That's crazy. But, so... What I don't know is if anywhere, because all these things end up being so complicated, which makes sense, and that's why it's hard, and everyone's voting and screaming and crying and all that stuff, and I get all that. But I don't know if we've ever taken, or if anyone can take the number, add it all up over here, and then add it all up over there. Because my hope would be that the amount that comes out of my paycheck is based on it needing to be enough to, average out and equal, but I don't know. I would assume that's not been done. And it's just this it's just sailing.
I feel like we're not even paying enough, and there's.
I was gonna say.
Because I heard some
it's
bullshit statistic, and all mine are like half-assed. Like, I heard
Yeah.
this, but I don't remember where I heard it from, so I can't say if it's 100% accurate. But I remember hearing a thing about unemployment like ratios, where it's like, okay, we have 32% unemployment or whatever, but that ratio like dies after 6 months. You're no longer counted on that, on that statistic anymore. So it's like, well, if you're counting 36%, but we don't count you after 6 months, and people go out on unemployment for years. I'm like, doesn't that mean like we're like half the country's not working?
No, so like those numbers you said are very high, but those I think are actually like, they might say unemployment's up to 7%, but then you'll hear like crackpot radio hosts and like conservative type people be like, okay, well the real number is actually like this or whatever the fuck, and it's like 23.5% or some crazy thing, because the way they calculate it and the way different people calculate the same thing can be different based on what point you're trying to prove. So if you want to say unemployment is down, asterisk, and then it's like 10 pages of like we're not
like new unemployment is down,
or like the rate of change in unemployment over time versus this same time last year indicates a projection that it's some crazy, and people that go on like disability and different types of stuff, like I think the number of people on disability has like super skyrocketed.
Oh yeah, because they've changed the requirements like dramatically, where you could be like, I get stressed out, and you get paid.
Well, and because people are like, well, the unemployment's running out, or I'm having trouble getting unemployment, and everyone says, okay, don't worry, person who needs help, there's an answer. Just apply. Maybe you'll get disability, or whatever the fuck. Like, I've heard people say that. Maybe I should apply. What if I get it? That'd be great. And you're like, oh God. And not that I like pay so much taxes that I can't live, and I do have a job, and part of that is like luck or whatever, but part of it's not. So part of me does hate when I see people not like dealing with stress and having like a horrible whatever to like make money in their life or something like that. I'm sure you have.
I've had a lot of friends like not necessarily right at this point in my life, but in the past, where like we have the same job, we probably make roughly the same amount of money, but they were like they had the EBT cards because they were like, well, I'll just apply, and I'm like. What?
I thought you were going to say the other thing where like you have the same job, you know about how much this person makes, you know about how much that person makes, but then it turns out like something happens in their life, that'll be $170. What? I don't have that kind of money.
That happens all the time.
And then you're like, because it happens to me, and all the numbers are like different, but I make a similar amount to a lot of people, and something comes up, and I'm like, it's broke, I'll just get a new one, it's like $20, and they go like, this is outrageous.
Yeah, whenever I hear people do things, like the dude today, we were at the bank talking to a guy, and he's like, ooh, you might want to do that from home. It's like, why is that? He's like, well, it's $10 cheaper if you do it from home. And I'm like, I wouldn't, what? $10 for something I do once? I don't give a shit. And how many times have we purchased things? We're like, all right, we got kind of the second to worst one, and then we're like, that's horrible garbage. And then you end up buying like maybe the middle tier one. You're like, I think the better one would have been better. And then you end up buying like, now I have 3 things that I barely need because fuck.
Yeah, I'm totally guilty
of
that.
Like fucking third-party batteries and bullshit. Like. Where it's like it's a little cheaper to do this way, but it's 100% worse.
Before someone thinks we mean cappuccino machines, we mean some of the stuff that you're witnessing us do right now that involves like cameras and lighting and wires and bullshit like that, where, whatever. But, I don't know. Life is disgusting. Things happen.
And in the end, don't die in a fire. Until next time, guys.
I'm sweating.
It's hot in here.
Do you have the remote? Oh, God, it's right there.
AC time.
We talked for 52 minutes about nothing.
Yeah, I know.